Well, good morning, Rovers. It's just an absolutely gorgeous day, and it's a day off for me, so I just couldn't help but just bounce right out of bed, put my rubber boots on, get out here, and I'm going to complete that raised bed where we're going to plant the asparagus and also the garlic. So it's interesting because it's a raised bed, it's a terrace, but it's all natural. We didn't use any wood at all. I'm really eager to show you how we accomplished that. And later on, yes, I do have to work on those rain barrels and get those ready because we never know when the next rainstorm is coming. But you know, what a gorgeous day. But I do have to crack on. Now, I started preparing the bed about 24 hours earlier. So what I'm doing right here is I'm removing the sod from this bed. And when you do it, the sod has a lot of excellent topsoil, and you'll notice that's where the worms are. It's probably the best part of the soil in many ways. So I want to keep as much of it here in the bed as possible. But at the same time, I want to use this sod to create this terrace effect so that because we're on a hill right here, I want to level this out so that water will roll into this area and, you know, help nourish the plants that will be growing here, which in fact will be the asparagus up there, and then for the most part we'll have garlic down on this end. Well, the bed has now been terraced, and the first 3 feet, well, I've mixed manure into that and dug it in really well in anticipation of getting the asparagus. The rest of the bed, I've left just the soil, and I have loosened it with the fork, but now I'm going to add manure to it. Now, this is manure that I got from a friend of mine who's a dairy farmer, and he dropped it off about 9 months ago, and it's in pretty good shape right now, so I'm going to use it to enrich where the garlic will be planted this coming fall. Let's see that again. The judges report that I had good form and I really nailed the landing. Now I need a tarp to cover the Garligus bed. That's right, I said Garligus. That's because the bed is for the garlic and the asparagus. Now this is the tarp that was covering what will be our garden this year, and it's just an old building wrap, and I'm cutting it out because I need the space anyway for the chicken house, which is going in that area. Now let's compare the two areas, the area that was covered by the tarp and the area that wasn't. Wow, that's quite a remarkable difference. I think we'll be getting a pretty good garden, all things considered, this very first year. Well, the uncovered soil is a little bit drier than I would have hoped for, but we were using discarded lumber wraps, not landscaping cloth, and that probably accounts for the dryness. But we can work with that, and we'll be getting landscaping cloth down on it pretty quick, and that'll allow the moisture to penetrate the soil. Now I'm back at the Garligus bed. That's right, I said Garligus again. And I'm using those discarded tarps to cover the bed because I want that manure, especially in the garlic section, to really have a long time to cook before we put the garlic in it in the fall. And the section that I'll be putting the asparagus in, which is the section closest to you, that is only a temporary cover just for a day or so until I get the asparagus. And the reason that I'm covering it at all is because nature is very modest and nature always likes to be covered up. So if it's not covered up, the worms won't come to the surface, the bacteria gets confused. Normally it's used to having some sort of tree cover or sod on top of it. So to leave it exposed for any period of time, you're actually damaging your soil. Bear that in mind. The finished product, nicely wrapped and just waiting to be planted. It's the next day, and my neighbor and good friend Jerry has dropped off 4 healthy 3-year-old asparagus crowns, ready to be planted. Now, I don't want the asparagus crowns to be out in the open for very long, so I've arranged what I need to do. I have the asparagus. I see what it looks like. It's sitting on the tarp. I've removed the tarp from the bed. I have water ready to water them in, and I have wood chips ready to cover them. I also have manure standing by to do a top dressing once I get the asparagus planted in the bed. The bed itself has already had manure shoveled in and forked over, so it's pretty rich to start with. You want to make sure that the roots are well settled into the soil and there are no big air gaps there. Well, there they are, all settled in and looking pretty happy in their new home. All they need now is a little bit of water. Next step, get some manure that you've well forked over and start distributing probably about 2 inches top dressing on top of the whole asparagus bed. Now, asparagus are a very long-lived plant. You can expect anywhere from 20 to 30 years of productive asparagus shoots coming up. So that's why I'm taking all these extra steps to make sure that the soil is really rich for such a long-lived plant. Well, as I said earlier, Mother Nature is very modest and she likes to be covered up. Now, she does her best work, in fact, undercover. So what do you say? Let's keep Mother Nature covered up. Well, there it is, the finished Garligus bed. I said it again, Garligus. So the asparagus has been planted and it's nice and rich, the soil, and the wood chips are covering everything, allowing Mother Nature to do her best work. And the garlic section, well, it's covered in a tarp, but there's plenty of manure underneath that tarp. We're just waiting now until the fall and we'll do the big plant out of the garlic. Well, Rovers, we have 4 asparagus crowns planted here in what is really healthy, productive soil. Now, I would like to extend the asparagus to 6 crowns, so I'll be on the lookout for a couple more. If you know of any in the area, give me a shout, and that'll finish it off. The remainder of the bed will be for garlic, and the garlic we won't be putting in the fall, or we won't be putting in until the fall. Anyway, Rovers, as always, thanks for watching.